Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I just got paired up. I'm going to play a 15-2 game. Got the white pieces. Let's start with knight f3. See what black throws at us. Okay. And let's go with c4. Let's see what black goes into. Okay, some type of Indian. Knight c3. And maybe we're going to get something different. I played the last 15-2 game. It was King's Indian. I don't even know how to pronounce that variation. Kaz something with knight a6. I'll once again play this. Let's see if we could get a different variation. Maybe we'll get to see a variation with e5. I'm once again doing e4 here to avoid an opportunity for black to play the Grunfeld. So castles, bishop e2, the moment of truth. Knight a6 or e5, something else. Okay, e5. Alright, so this was my intention, to capture and then get the queens off. Let's try an ending. And I'm really going to try my best to make it the case where I do not live off of the increment. So let's take the queen. That little click to click, I rarely ever use that. Just clicking from square to square to move the pieces. But anyhow, this is all pretty well-known stuff. After bishop here, this is maybe the most common reply to secure this e5 pawn. There's also c6, I think. So let's see what black does. They're thinking. I wonder if they are unfamiliar with this position. That could be good news for me. So we'll see what they come up with. I'm threatening to capture on e5. And on rook to e8, I could follow up with knight d5 and you're pretty much forced into taking the knight. Rook e8, knight d5, because I'm hitting at c7 and f6. So what's black going to do? On c6, I could take the pawn. Okay, we're not having that. On c6, knight takes pawn. I could show it afterwards, if I remember. c6, knight takes pawn, rook here, and then queenside castle. Alright, so let's follow up and pre-move that. Knight takes knight. Pretty much locked into having to take. Pressure on f6 and c7. c6, I could play bishop c4. Let's defend d5. I want to be able to recapture with a piece. And then this is where it could get pretty complicated, for sure. There's b5 here. b5, bishop back, and then a5, maybe bishop d7 stuff. Okay, they're capturing right away. So with this, I'm in position to take with the piece. And I'm not sure what I want to do with my king just yet. I don't know if, I could queenside castle. That's something I wanted to just point out right away. I could queenside castle. King to e2, I don't know if the position is simplified enough where I could play king to e2. Like a knight maybe one day coming in here, or some pin on this diagonal, so I'm not sure if my king would want to go to e2. If the light square bishops are exchanged, I could pretty much rely upon the e2 square as a good home for my king, okay? So this is really the first moment that I'm having to think a little bit. Let's see what to do here. My first thought is to simply queenside castle. This is what can I expect here? Okay, some of the thoughts I'm having right now are that I really would not. I want to play this position in a way where this dark square bishop is never given the opportunity to exchange himself off for anything. I want to play against this dark square bishop, in other words. I want to play against this relationship between the bishop and the fixed pawn on e5. He's the worst placed piece. I could take the knight and damage the black queenside structure, but I am investing the bishop pair to do that. I don't know that that's such a wise choice. If I'm not careful, knight b4 could be annoying, hitting my bishop and getting into c2. Let's see. Candidate moves include queenside castle. On queenside castle, there's bishop g4. That could be a little bit of a pain. What I would really like to have happen are both knights exchange and both the light square bishops exchange. Play good bishop versus bad bishop ending. I'd really like to have that happen. If I queenside castle bishop g4, that I must say is a bit of a pain. That pin. On queenside castle knight b4, I think I would just calmly retreat to b3 off of any open files. Queenside castle bishop g4, maybe at that moment I take the knight. I don't know. It's a tough call. It's a tough call. Oh, here's another thought. Bishop e3. No, knight b4 is a pain. Oh, you know what I think I need to do? Queenside castle now, bishop g4. I think I play bishop e3. Anticipating that, well, I cannot rely upon my f3 knight anymore to defend d4. This is the weakest point in my position. So I need to take good care of it. Like, one way this bishop could be brought to life is a knight. Once he plants up here, some exchange, pawn takes, this bishop maybe turns out to be, well, I said earlier, the least valuable currently, but with this pawn on e5, if it's converted to a d pawn, it's a world of difference. Supporting then a passed pawn opens up this file for the rook. A lot of good happens, but my bishop still has to be, it must be a pain though. If this knight is ever here, I still have pressure on b7. So, at the 10-minute mark, I said I didn't want to live after the increment. I think I devoted enough time here. Let's carry on. Let's carry on with development. Who could argue with that, really? And I'm expecting bishop g4. I would really welcome seeing bishop e6. I would welcome my bad bishop. Bad bishop just related to my pawn structure, but it's what we might call a very active bad bishop. Can't really do one better. I don't know that there's really a better square for my bishop, my light square bishop, than d5 right now. It's a reliable home. It's defended well. It's radiating in both directions. c7 could... There's some lines where maybe if a rook gets to the 7th rank, it starts to be well coordinated, converging on f7, rook and bishop. So what more is black going to do? I'm pretty much, I know what I'm going to do on knight b4. I think he's just going in the wrong direction. That's just a one-move threat. I back up, and he doesn't have a good reply to the two-word test, which is now what? You know, what's the big follow-up after knight b4? So I'm thinking bishop g4. Bishop g4, I'm going to play bishop e3. I don't think that there's a good reason to have my bishop staring at this d8 square anymore. So I'm gonna return him here to e3 on bishop g4. I could end up with a damaged structure, that's true. We could even see an opposite color bishop ending. Bishop g4, bishop e3. Yeah, bishop g4, bishop e3, bishop takes knight, pawn takes, knight d4. think I have to snap him off right away, although you can't go knight d4 right away. Let me step back here for a moment. You can't quickly jump in for that variation and giving up the light square bishop for my knight, and then my dark square bishop taking out a knight on d4, because I do have this pressure still on b7. So black, I'm sure, is trying to figure out a way to successfully coordinate, or I should say complete development. You know, he's got to be a bug here. That guy in d5. I know if I can't flip the board right now, but if I was able to flip the board, I know that this bishop would be a giant pain to me. Okay, I'm not sure what other candidate. Here's something I would really like to see: h6. This would be a case of kicking my bishop to a square I would already want to go to. So this is helping me. h6. What other moves are being considered? Rook b8? That seems too slow to babysit a pawn to eventually go in for this. You know, another thing, if the bishop doesn't play here right away, I might want to play a move like h3. Rule it out altogether. Some slow improving moves. Oh, some slow improving moves would be king to b1. Well, I wasn't lying when I thought that this... I didn't think black would have a good follow-up after knight b3, or after bishop to b3. What's the big story here? Not really seeing it. Let's wait a moment. Bishop b3, bishop e6, bishop takes bishop. No, this really isn't going anywhere as far as I could tell. Let's back up. Just try to stay on pace with my opponent's time. I guess if I'm going to live off the increment, I better make sure my opponent's living off of the increment. So bishop e6, bishop takes, rook takes. I could play a3. There's a rook check, king b1, and a knight on c2. I think he's going in the wrong direction. Maybe even running the risk of getting trapped, or at the very least we'll have a knight exchange, and we could quickly see an ending that I'd be very, very comfortable with. One where it's my good bishop versus this bad bishop. So the only logical follow-up I could see to maybe justify knight to b4, maybe a5, a4 is an idea? I don't think so. a5, a3, a4, I could play here. That might be weird. That's pretty wild. Actually, what I could do on a5, I could play bishop a4. Okay, we are having this trade. So bishop takes, rook takes, otherwise this is a very ugly structure. And now with the light square bishops exchanged, I could get to the 7th rank, so this starts to be a bit appealing. I think we're going to have, we're going to have light square bishops come off. Bishop takes, follow up a3, there's going to be a check, king b1, knight c2. That's a bit scary. It's just barely hanging together, the black side. I think eventually he has to jump in here. If he goes to c2, he'll eventually be forced in here. I could take. And then this pawn could very well turn out to be a liability. Classic case of a pawn being overextended. More of a liability as fewer pieces, or as more pieces are exchanged. As fewer pieces are on the board, that could be a liability. Get my king at, like in a strictly pawn bishop ending. This good bishop versus bad bishop. If this pawn is on d4, he'll be scooped up in short order. My king is very quick towards the center. That's another nice feature in this more simplified ending. So let's start with the more direct stuff. What to do in this exact position. Those are just some general considerations. Bishop takes. I don't see any other move. I don't want to allow the double isolated pawns, so. And I want to immediately kick this knight out of there. This is the get out of my house move. Yeah, let's do it. Here. I could consider just king b1. Any big difference between a3 or king b1? I have a check. That's silly, though. There's no good reason to do that. I want to play here. Yeah, I'm not, I don't, hang on. What about king b1? King b1. No, get out of there. He needs to get out of my house. Get out of my house. That's the get out of my house move. Get out of my side of the board. Let's make black come up with something here. Will there be a check or an immediate run to c6, knight c6 to d4? And I'm not sure which rook would give check. Probably the one that's not playing yet. Although I don't know how well this rook stands. Okay, so I'm so far pretty happy with the position I have. One other nice feature is that when this bishop maybe relocates to e3, we'll be observing a7, which needs to be tended to. Sometimes you could allow this to be captured and then, get the rook back over here. And after the bishop moves, you get a pawn on the a file, but I have this at pawn up to a3, so this would be a genuine threat once my bishop's on e3. So this bishop is still needs to do something. This is the problem piece that I was not expecting. Okay, that is officially a sidelined knight, and my first thought is to keep him sidelined. Yes. Let's wait a moment. No, let's not wait a moment. Hang on. There is a moment here to think. I have other choices. Rook d7. No. I need to stop the knight from getting here. I don't want to play this too quick. On this move, I don't necessarily have to react to pawn takes pawn, because I have moves like knight g5 with hitting the rook and the pawn. You don't necessarily even have to go in that direction. There's knight d2 to e4. So okay, so black is doing something about getting this, trying to eliminate that bishop. Now on b4, this might be struck at some point with a5, so my first thought is to play rook here. I should probably do that. Why not? I'm a dual purpose move, primary function to defend against c5. I don't want to allow this knight, I don't want to allow this bishop to trade itself off. I'm also throwing a punch at e5. Any check, pretty much king b1 automatically, and ready to maybe play rook d1 or c1. Let's see, I might want to trade a little bit. This is still something black has to tend to, and putting a piece here now, this could be a pin. Black isn't careful, this could be a pin and win. Could very easily see the loss of material. I have to keep this in mind. This possibility, knight g5, this nice forward move with tempo. Striking at the rook, f7, which again, I was saying it earlier, with my bishop on the board, f7 being a bit soft. Similarly with this knight leap into g5. Also, if this bishop gets excited about going elsewhere, maybe I could plant my bishop here on h6 and renew back rank possibilities. So, I like this position due to having the better bishop currently, and maybe in some sense having the safer king. This is certainly a reliable home. A light square is a flight square. Although, I don't know if I would even want to go here. If the rooks are off the board, I'll be flying in towards the center very quickly. I have a better king position. What's black going to come up with? If they play f6, if they play f6, I could forget about knight here. I might want to think about rerouting my knight, right away. Knight d2 stuff. Knight d2, maybe b3 to defend here. Knight here also to allow my this f3 move, anticipating some knight on c5 arriving, hitting this pawn. He is unprotected. Moves like this won't work. Knight runs right into knight to d2. I'm ahead on the clock. I was just saying what this move does. It runs right into knight d2, so I think that this is a super valuable tempo. In fact, I could take this pawn, but this is just crying out for this move. Oh, another thing is I'm on this. I could take this pawn. Oh, this can't even be taken. I have a fork. Forks. Okay. Should I grab that pawn? Should I snatch that pawn there? A lot of interesting possibilities. I want to try and keep this as clean as possible. I don't want to allow any counterplay. Do not allow complications. Oh, wait a second. Rook here, king here would be needed. Now that is maybe something. I just feel like I'm going in the wrong direction. Bishop takes b6, and then I have to kind of like rescue my bishop. Doesn't seem like the right direction to go in. Rook here threatens bishop h6. Rook d8, king here would be needed. I don't see what the great follow-up is for me after that. What about b4? Just rule out any stuff with the piece coming here. It's a bit scary though. Some sacrifices here, rook's coming over. I don't know if that's ever really working. This is a very simple approach. Knight d2, I'm falling behind on the clock. This time flew right by, it really did. Well, I'm going to keep it really simple. I'm going to do this. Missing anything? I'm not. I'm doing this so I can play my knight to b3. I want to defend here with a piece, and then just finish my development. Everything should be tucked in quite nicely pretty soon. Knight b3, rook hd1. I should rattle off those moves pretty quick. Let's see where the rook goes. I'm expecting some retreat to, let's say, the 7th rank, maybe completely back. So knight on b3 is interesting. Just have it functioning to defend c5, using piece play to defend c5. And who knows, maybe one day he jumps into a5. So knight b3 and then double rooks is the idea. Any f5 move, I'll play f3. Alright, let's get there. Defend c5. Oh, maybe this was... Oh, I was thinking rook b6 to hit my knight. It's not allowed. I was thinking for a moment rook here, I had to go there. Oh, okay, this is a very welcome sight. Let's double up. I'd really like to see a piece get here now. So we could have minor pieces exchange quickly, but then I would still have some advantage in the form of pawn structure. At the end, if this pawn has to capture, they're split. Of course, if it's a rook-only ending, those can quite often turn out to be a draw, but... Alright, how can we move forward here? Let's get some trades in. This is a nice consolidating move. Yeah, I'm going to do this. Am I missing anything? There's a lot of sneaky stuff like here, and that's not quite working. I'm going to do this. I want to keep some pressure on this pawn still. I don't want to leave. I was going to do this, but I want to keep pressure here. This rook still he's struggling a bit. What does this knight do? Alright, it's a nail biter. It's clockwise. evenish. You're going to give me that advantage? Notice if there's a pawn here, they're split, and it paves the way for my king to enter right away. All right. They're repositioning their knight where to exactly? I don't even know. Maybe I could think about bishop here. Reposition my bishop to a more active square. I'd really like to see them weaken their 7th rank. Let's try this. Get my bishop on c3. However, I need to be a bit careful of some tricks on a3. Bishop takes a3, pawn takes, and then, you know, that's that sort of stuff. Some tactics on a3. My pawn on b2 is essentially overloaded as soon as my bishop's on c3. So I know f6 could defend this pawn, but that would weaken the 2nd rank. Or yeah, their 2nd rank. Both under 3 now. I think my knight... I should probably reposition my knight. Okay, yeah, they're stopping any of that. This last couple of moves I'm not too happy about how I played it. Should I trade a rook? Is there any trick? I don't know what I want to do. I don't want to do this anymore. Let's get back here. Anticipating like knight here, I want to make sure I keep control over d4, so I had to take a little U-turn there. Now, oh, okay. My idea was this. Let's trade a little bit. I don't want to allow the rook to get the 2nd rank. Let's trade a little bit. And if takes, how do I recapture? Let's take with my knight. I don't think, maybe he could reposition to a more central square. Yeah, that'll be useful. I like my rook. We'll see all the mistakes that have been made up to this point for sure after the game with Stockfish. Knight here. He is in fact going back here, isn't he? I'm floundering. Oh man. Alright. Could I get that knight in a pin? Let's try this. Rook here. I don't think my rook is so well placed anymore in the center. I'm going to try and get a pin here. Alright, let's put him in a pin. I really should get my king active. Their king is more active now. Let's do this. Anticipating some knight move and some capture here. Bishop will take that h2 pawn, the Bill Gates pawn. So the knight can move. Yeah, so we are having this. Alright, let's take, and I'm pretty sure I want to get my king working like right now. As soon as possible. So big technical phase here. Okay. They have a pawn fixed on a light square. I should probably still move forward. This is my only advantage, that they have this pawn fixed on this e5 square. Still, I'm looking to play against this bishop. Okay. My knight I no longer need here. Let's go somewhere else. I would really like to give up my bishop for their knight, maybe. Like this move, maybe here. Let's see if I could provoke some weaknesses. Bishop here. Force this move, and then maybe I could get in g4. If I do this, I'm giving up b4. I'm having a very difficult time trying to get a good spot for my knight. It's 1 minute. Warning. Could jump in here, maybe. What's that? Let's get right here. Watch out for the tricky knight. He's going to go back. No, he's not. So I get this square with tempo. I'll take it. He backs up though and boxes me out. Pretty nice. What about bishop here? What does that even do? I don't know what I want to do. Just make some active move. Knight here to here. I could get my bishop on c3 here. Bishop b4, bishop c3. Let's try that. Is this knight ready to be trapped? Maybe. Let's go here. Let's box out that knight. 34 seconds. Trade knights. Let's try this. I don't know. Bishop here. We'll just go back and forth a little bit. Here, bishop back. It's probably a draw, but I'll try to do something. Okay. Let's go back here. So much for trying to do something there. I don't see any great way to make progress here. So we can get a pawn on a light square. Maybe I do this at some point. Now knight here might be something. But then bishop here at the end, I'll have some trade. Let's get this moving. Knight here, bishop takes. I can't even commentate anymore. Knight here. So I have some opening. I think that was a mistake. King position? I should get king position in here. Threatening knight here. Trading the knight's probably still drawn, but I'm gonna try for something. Knight here, there's knight a5. Let's throw in a check. Let's try and bug him. King here. If he goes too far away, this could be a pain. This bishop's tied down if the king's no longer here. Big decision now. Let's go here. Knight here, I'm going to back up. Watch these two squares. Let's back up. There's that knight check. 15 seconds, yeah. Maybe I should have went all the way back, actually. So I have this move. Let's get this in. It's a bit more... It's not as flexible anymore, but... Yeah. Yeah, I don't see a great way to make progress. Oh, what about here? Okay, this is maybe my moment to enter, actually. I think that might have been a mistake. Let's try and enter. I'm going to try and mop up these pawns. Right here. Gotta go fast. Hitting the bishop. Let's do this. And then here. Scariness. Knight here, I go here. So get some, try and bank some time. Let's do this. Knight here. Oh, this is a one king and pawn ending. I get to trade down now. Whew. There go the minor pieces. And let's just grab this pawn. This is a one king and pawn ending. Pretty sure. Yeah. I have enough tempi to outflank black. I could sneak out now and just hunt these pawns. Oh man. I'll just play this out a little bit, I guess. Yeah, we'll see what the computer has to say after this. I'm pretty sure I had a good position, like a I had those trumps in the form of a better bishop. My opponent was untangling. They got their dark square bishop working, and as soon as that happened, I think evaluation, just not king there is the only thing. The evaluation probably shifted right around that moment as soon as their dark square bishop got activated. Okay, they resigned. Let me go into analysis mode here. This was a long game, 87 moves. All right, let's see where we can, where were their mistakes here? Have Stockfish now on my side here, so this is all pretty standard stuff here. This is the one thing I wanted to point out. If this move is played, you could take on this square, and after rook e8, you could castle. Rook takes knight, there's rook here, and after rook e8, bishop takes knight, rook takes rook, bishop takes rook, and white's up a pawn for really nothing. But we didn't have that. Instead it was rook here, knight d5, takes, c6. This right here, this is an interesting line with b5, bishop a3, and then a5. And there's a3, there's a4 in response. I'm not sure which one is really best. Computer calls for a4, but I believe a3 is another move as well. What could very often happen, and it gets quite sharp, with black delaying this capture, there could be, well, he could turn into a passed pawn in a blink, and tied in with this bishop, that could be quite annoying. Just to maybe show one line, something like this, d6 in fact is being called for right now, and then after bishop f8 they're saying to queenside castle. I guess there's some tricks here. Or they're saying castle kingside. What's the trick with bishop takes pawn here? Rook f d1, nothing huge. Huh. It's saying that there's it's just like a 0.3 advantage. There's no, I don't see a great reason to give up the pawn like that. But in some lines, if black isn't careful, let's just say develops the knight, this could be quite a pain. Probably has to be challenged right away with bishop here, but it could get quite sharp is my main point if you're not capturing this d-pawn. Another line right here after bishop c4 is to play knight d7, I think. No, I'm mistaken. After this capture takes knight d7, I think. Yeah, this is the follow-up. Instead of knight c6, this was the move played in the game. I think takes is fine like that, but the follow-up then knight here, ideas of maybe knight c5, and the other one is to play knight here, which is threatening to win the bishop or pawn. Like if I castle, knight f6 right away, or maybe even first trying to kick the bishop away from defending f6, bishop here, knight f6, and now I have to part ways with my light square bishop, otherwise I'll be dropping e4. So short story here is that instead of knight c6, there's knight d7 as well, trying to get in here. On knight d7 there's now knight d2, so that on knight f6 you could drop back, the knight is there to defend e4. But anyhow, knight c6 was played, computer's calling for queenside castle, I did that. Knight b4, what did it like better than knight b4? Actually, it likes knight b4 as a top move. Interesting. Knight b4, okay, it liked that. It liked that move too. Of course, I didn't have a lot of options. And now it's calling for a5. Oh, I touched on that briefly. I was saying I might want to try this. It's saying the knight should be going back now. It's a weird line. Knight b4 with a5 is the follow-up, okay. We didn't have that. Instead, it's bishop e6. It's saying about a half, not even a half pawn advantage. It's saying like 0.4 advantage for white, which is not a whole lot at all. And, yeah, it's saying to trade bishops. King b1 it wants to play, but, what are the differences, I wonder? I was torn between a3 and king b1. Now it's about equal. Okay, knight back there, and it wants to play b4. Just having the pawn watch over. Yeah, I'm sure it's objectively good to do it like that, but I was trying to play a bit more practically, I guess you could say, having pieces around to defend c5. Especially with this rook still on his home square. If I'm playing b4, there's always some fear of maybe a5. I know it's simplified quite a bit, no queens on the board, but it is opposite sides castling. Still a couple minor pieces around. This rook has some lateral movement. I didn't want to allow for that sort of a strike. So, now it's saying bishop e3. Okay. That's nice to see. And now it wants to play f5. Okay, instead, I think black did well with trying to get rid of their dark square bishop. I'll just kind of go a bit faster here. There's a lot of moves in this game. But it doesn't like rook c4. Rook c4 just wants to play rook hd1 right away. On this, knight g5, but... What did I do? I just kicked him away right away. Still just about a half pawn advantage. And I'm just doing a blunder check right now. I have a close eye on the computer evaluation. Computer wants to do this, but you know what? I was in the mindset right now where I didn't want to do anything with the structure. I wanted to, I guess you could say, work within the structure I currently have. It's a solid one. I didn't want to create any weaknesses. I just wanted to play with the pieces, try and get them to better squares. Of course, that's tough to really manage. You know, these guys are on their home squares now. Certainly this bishop. I've lost track of what knight this is in the game, but anyhow, he's on a home square. It's calling for f4 right now, but yeah, I wasn't even thinking about any of that. Now it's like dead even. Dead even, nothing exciting, and then, yeah, I mean, it really should have been a draw. Was there anything I missed? I know at the very end, only when there was time pressure, was there an issue where we had just the minor pieces being exchanged. Were there any blunders on any of our part before that? Not really. Oh, right here. There's something. Right here. Well, we were both living off of the increment. Bishop e7. I played bishop c5, bishop e7. Yeah, that's sneaky. Bishop takes, knight takes, and then this will be a win. Still tricky whenever these guys are around, but still. I had an opportunity for that. Bishop c5 instead, and yet again. Bishop e7. I guess if you don't see it once, there's a good chance you're not going to see it again. I don't know how true that is, but okay. I'm not sure why I played g4. Oh yeah, one of the thoughts I had with g4 is I wanted to play here and maybe induce I want to induce like this advance, but I didn't want to do it right away because of this, and then this pawn could advance a little bit more. No, actually that's faulty thinking because I have enough support on that. That was just a bad train of thought. I don't know. Probably just making moves at that point. And it's just so closed right now. I have a slightly, I'm the one who's still trying to win. In fact, it's saying 1.5 right now with that last move. But apparently a5 is the one that's going to hold. What's that doing? It's planting a pawn, another pawn fixed on a dark square, but it's securing this king position on c6, which is super important. Yeah, once my king was able to establish himself on d5, there's probably going to be wins, so it was necessary to keep my knight out of that b4 square. And yeah, king d5 is what's being called for. Bishop c5 even. I never wanted to have that happen, though. I wanted this bishop to like never exchange himself off. But bishop c5 is apparently still going to be winning. Yeah, this is tough now. Knight e6 check, king d6, and my king is just too good now. It's approaching these guys. It'll be very difficult for black to try and hold that. But we did a little bit more shuffling. I was fearful around this moment of like falling for some mate. I don't know how, like if the king is here and the knight is here, I think that would be mate in his current position. But yeah, a little more shuffling, and in a blink we end up having this exchange. But until we got into that time pressure, it was pretty even game. And this final position is, of course, going to be winning. But interesting game, tough struggle out of another different variation of the King's Indian defense. And feel free to leave any feedback in the comment section below. And as always, I hope you got something out of this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.